Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I have to say, the more I watch General Hospital these days, the more I feel like Harrison Chase is walking straight toward a cliff without even realizing it. Sometimes a character makes one bad decision and gets a second chance. Other times mistakes start piling up until one final misstep brings everything crashing down. From where I'm sitting, that is exactly what seems to be happening to Chase, and Tracy Quartermaine may be the person who finally pushes this story to its breaking point. What really caught my attention was that warning ADA Justine Turner gave Chase not long ago. In soap operas, warnings like that rarely come out of nowhere. When someone in authority tells a character that another procedural mistake could cost them their job, I always pay close attention. It usually means the writers are laying the groundwork for something much bigger down the road. Looking back now, that conversation feels less like a warning and more like a prediction. Then came the explosive confrontation between Tracy and Willow at the Quartermaine boathouse. I have watched Tracy for years, and one thing I know is that she never backs down from speaking her mind. She told Willow exactly what she thought of her and made it clear that she saw through the image Willow tries so hard to present to the world. The tension between these two women had been building for a long time, and it finally boiled over. But what really made me shake my head was what happened next. The moment Willow spotted Chase approaching, she jumped into the lake and immediately claimed that Tracy had pushed her. The whole situation felt calculated to me. Whether viewers support Willow or not, it is hard to ignore how conveniently everything unfolded. And unfortunately for Chase, he appeared ready to believe Willow's version of events before taking the time to fully assess the situation. That is where I think Chase made a serious mistake. Being a police officer requires objectivity, and I am not sure he showed much of it in that moment. Part of me believes he is still seeing Willow as the sweet and caring woman he once knew, instead of evaluating the facts standing right in front of him. Personal history can cloud judgment, and if that is what happened here, it could end up costing him dearly. The more I think about it, the less sense the arrest makes. This was essentially a case of one person's word against another's. Some people may argue that Willow's position as a congresswoman gives her additional credibility, but Tracy Quartermaine is hardly an unknown citizen. She is one of the most influential and recognizable figures in Port Charles. Both women have standing in the community, which means neither side should automatically have been believed over the other. What makes the situation even more troubling is that there were no serious injuries and no clear evidence proving exactly what happened. Yet Chase still moved forward with arresting Tracy. To me, that feels like an overreaction, especially considering the scrutiny he has already been facing because of previous questionable decisions. As folks around here might say, that was not exactly his finest hour. Now Tracy appears ready to take her anger straight to PCPD. The preview showing her pointing at Chase and calling him out in front of Dante Falconeri and ADA Turner immediately grabbed my attention. Tracy is not the type of person who quietly accepts being humiliated. Once she decides to fight back, she usually goes all in, and I have a feeling she is only getting started. What makes this storyline especially interesting is that Tracy's outrage may hand Turner exactly what she has been looking for. Turner has already been frustrated with Chase for quite some time. She believes his actions have damaged the reputation of PCPD, and she has never seemed convinced that he exercised proper judgment in the Willow-related cases. If Tracy successfully shines a spotlight on this latest arrest, Turner could finally have the justification she needs to demand serious consequences. When I step back and look at the bigger picture, I do not see this as one isolated mistake. I see a pattern. The writers seem to be showing a police officer whose judgment has been slipping for a while, and every questionable decision is adding more pressure. If that pressure finally explodes, Chase could find himself out of a badge and out of a career. And if that happens, I would not be surprised at all if it opens the door to an entirely different future for him. Right now, all signs point toward Tracy making enough noise to trigger a full review of Chase's actions. Once that happens, his position at PCPD could be hanging by a thread, and the fallout may change the course of his life in ways he never expected. Now, this is where the story gets even more frustrating from my perspective. As viewers, we know Chase was not responsible for the missing video evidence. We know Jack Brennan was behind that mess. The problem is that knowing something and proving it are two very different things in Port Charles. Right now, there is no proof pointing to Brennan, and unless the truth eventually comes out, Chase may end up paying the price for a crime he never committed. That is exactly why I think ADA Turner has become so dangerous for Chase. She already believes he damaged the integrity of important investigations, and every mistake he makes only strengthens her case against him. Whether her suspicions are fair or not almost stops mattering after a while. Once someone in a position of authority decides they have lost confidence in you, every move is examined under a microscope. The troubling part is that Chase has not exactly helped himself. Even after being warned, he continued pushing boundaries and conducting investigations outside the proper chain of command. I understand why he did it. Chase has always been the kind of person who follows his instincts and wants to do what he believes is right. But good intentions do not always protect someone from consequences. In fact, sometimes they make the consequences even worse. When he lost his detective position and found himself pushed into a role he clearly did not enjoy, I had a feeling the writers were setting up a major crossroads in his life. Chase looked like a man who was questioning everything. His career was no longer what he wanted it to be. His confidence had taken several hits, and the future suddenly seemed uncertain. That is why Willow's job offer keeps sticking in my mind. Chase has been hesitant about becoming her chief of staff, and honestly, I could understand his reluctance. Taking a job that places him beside his ex-wife every day would create complications that almost seem impossible to avoid. However, if he loses his badge altogether, the equation changes dramatically. At that point, the offer may no longer look like a difficult choice. It may look like his only realistic opportunity. A man without a career suddenly has a reason to start over, and Willow's office would provide exactly that. The timing feels almost too perfect, which is why I cannot shake the feeling that this is the direction the story is heading. There is also another factor that I think could influence Chase's decision: anger. Tracy has repeatedly made it clear that she does not approve of Willow and believes Chase should keep his distance from her. If Chase comes to believe that Tracy played a role in destroying his career, I can easily imagine him doing the exact opposite of what she wants out of pure frustration. Human beings are emotional creatures, and sometimes people make life-changing decisions simply because they feel hurt, betrayed, or cornered. The real question, though, is not how Chase will react. The question is how Brooklyn will react. If Chase accepts a position working side by side with Willow every day, I honestly do not see how it would not create serious tension in his marriage. Brooklyn has already dealt with enough complications where Willow is concerned. Asking her to sit back and watch her husband spend countless hours working closely with his former wife feels like a recipe for disaster. From where I am sitting, this could become the beginning of the end for Chase and Brooklyn. Trust can survive many things, but constant reminders of the past have a way of reopening old wounds. Even if nothing romantic happens between Chase and Willow, perception alone could be enough to cause damage. Every late meeting, every political event, every unexpected crisis could create new misunderstandings and new arguments. That is why I think this storyline is about much more than a job change. It feels like the writers are positioning Chase at a crossroads where one decision could cost him everything. Losing his career would be devastating, but losing his marriage could be even worse. And if he chooses Willow's offer while emotions are running high, Brooklyn may decide that she has reached her breaking point. If that happens, Chase could discover that the price of starting a new chapter with Willow is the end of the life he built with Brooklyn.